There's a brand new tool inside of Runway that rivals some of the very best AI filmmaking tools on the market. NVIDIA released a $3,000 AI supercomputer, and we have a collection of some of the best AI films ever made. This is your AI film news of the week. I want to kick things off by saying that our thoughts and prayers are with everyone who has had their home affected by the fires out in Los Angeles. Shelby and I, along with some of the other Curious Refuge team members, had to temporarily evacuate last week. Of course, if you can support, there is a QR code on this screen to support nonprofits who are helping everyone who has been affected. If we can help you in any way at all, be sure to join our Discord chat and let us know how we can be of assistance. Okay, let's get to the news. I want to kick things off by talking about a brand new feature inside of Runway. They actually came out with the ability to upres your videos inside of Runway to 4K. So you can generate your video and then upres it to 4K. Let me show you how to use it. All you have to do is go to the Runway website and then go down to a new generative session. For our example, I'm going to use this image of this guy at a fancy restaurant. We'll just go ahead and drag and drop that into Runway, and we'll say a man sits at a fancy restaurant. Great. And we can go ahead and click generate. Okay, let's take a look at the video footage. So you see we have this guy. He's looking around, and we'll just ignore this like weird artifacting. There's just like orbs floating in the middle of the sky here. And the cool thing is you have this drop-down arrow, and you can click on upscale to 4K to upres this footage to 4K. The cool thing is if you have the unlimited plan with Runway, you can actually generate the video clip and upres it to 4K using your unlimited credits. So it won't count against you if you are trying to use the actual credits that are deposited into your account each month. So I did an example earlier from Runway. So here is the raw video footage directly from Runway. You can see that it's kind of low res. There's just a lot of softness and artifacting in the background. And after we run it through Runway 4K, we get this result, which it's not a lot different, but there's definitely sharpness in the individual hair strands. There's more definition on his face, and everything just looks sharper and just in higher fidelity. So it did a really good job. Now, I was curious to see how that compared to Topaz video. So I ran it through Topaz video, and it created this result here, and you can see that it's very comparable to Runway. So this was very interesting to see because usually we typically recommend people go to Topaz video because it has historically always had the best upresing model. But the truth is now, if you generate your video directly inside of Runway using the 4K upreser inside of their platform is actually going to give you results that are very comparable to Topaz video. The big caveat is the fact that you have to use the video clips you generated inside of Runway. So you're not able to just upload video clips from other AI tools and then upres them using this algorithm at this time. The team at Luma Labs released a brand new video model called Ray 2. It basically is just an updated algorithm, and the quality is much better than the current version of Luma Dream Machine. To use Ray 2, all you have to do is go to the Luma website, just go to the prompt box at the bottom, and we will say a gorilla surfing. And if you go to the drop-down menu here, you can see you have the ability to change the aspect ratio, the resolution, and the duration, and also make sure you're in Ray 2, and go ahead and click render. The generations can take a while to generate, so here's an example from Dave Clark, the instructor of our AI advertising course. You can see we have this gorilla and he's surfing, and those particle dynamics are really advanced. So it's doing an incredible job. Obviously, it's still not perfect. There are parts that you would, of course, need to rotoscope and fix if you're going to use them in a professional context. But this really does hint that 2025 is going to be the year that we see a lot of really advanced generations from these AI video tools. We also came across this generation from Stevie Mac of these like World War II planes flying.
and it looks really good. The camera shake, the color grading, the dynamics look really good. The only thing that's a little off is the propellers, which kind of have a bit of an erratic rolling shutter look to them. It's very inconsistent, but honestly, it did a really good job.
A research team in collaboration with Adobe has announced a brand new AI generation tool that looks like it could have big implications for the future of VFX. The tool is called Transpixar AI, and it basically has the ability to generate effects with alpha channels. So you don't have to generate the 3D asset on a green screen background and key it out. You actually have the ability to generate the asset natively using AI, and then that can just be composited using traditional compositing techniques into your scenes. And you can see there's all sorts of really interesting examples in the white paper website. So there's a link below this video. We have the shot here of this glass of water, and you can see that it actually has varying transparency to where you can see the background through the water. We also have this shot here of these asteroids basically kind of hovering around. Looks pretty good. We also have this shot of a squirrel here just like dancing, which is pretty cool. And then you also have the ability to upload an image, and then it will animate that image and then remove the background. So we have the shot here of this dragon, and of course, it's not perfect. This is very much a first iteration of this tool, but I think it really hints at the future of creating assets for film and television work. You'll be able to prompt and then get your asset that you can use and composite into your 3D scene. There were a lot of announcements at CES in Vegas this last week, but one of the big announcements that caught our attention came from NVIDIA. They actually came out and said that they are going to release an AI supercomputer for $3,000. The computer is called Project Digits, and it basically is designed for AI researchers, data scientists, and students like you to use the power of AI directly at home and locally on your machine. The computer is going to have 128 gigabytes of memory and 4 terabytes of NVMe storage, which is pretty intense. This definitely opens up a much larger conversation about whether or not it's better to have a local machine that can run AI processes, or if it's better just to tap into online cloud servers. There's pros and cons to using both systems. We'll see how it plays out. Over the holidays, the team at Kling also released their 1.6 system, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. If you watched our recent AI video generators video, then you probably know that Kling is currently our favorite AI video model. And from the test, the tool seems to be almost 200% better than the previous version of Kling, which was already pretty good. The clips you can generate can be up to 10 seconds long, and you do have the ability to input your own image. Now, I should note that 1.6 does not allow you to have all of the control that you're used to with 1.5, so you can't input 2 frames. You don't have the ability to control the camera outside of just prompting, but it is pretty interesting. To use Kling 1.6, just go to the Kling website and click on AI videos. And we'll make sure we're in image to video here. And we have this image of this couple in a car. We'll just go ahead and drag and drop that image into the image section here. And we'll say a man and woman sit in a car with worried faces. There we go, and just double check that you're in Kling 1.6 mode. I should also note that down here, you do have the ability to change the duration to 10 seconds if you want. And when you're ready, just go ahead and click generate. So this is shot number 1 here. So we have the couple in the car, and it rack focuses to the woman, and it looks pretty good. Like, it really does seem pretty realistic. And the expression on her face, you know, it seems kind of worried, a little nervous. The only thing I don't like is the motion tracking on the water droplets, but it's pretty interesting because if you look, this guy is in focus, and so you would assume that the camera would just have these water droplets slightly out of focus. But then when it rack focuses to the woman, you see the bokeh, it increases in size and it becomes more like an orb. That's perfectly replicating the way that a camera lens would change the out of focus state of foreground objects. So an incredibly advanced system. And again, Kling is just doing an amazing job. And we have this second generation here. You can see this one again looks pretty good. We kind of stay focused on this guy here in this scene. And you can see the background cars, I don't think the physics look quite right. Like I think those background cars are coming a little close to this car, but it's actually pretty good at a quick glance. I think this is important because Chinese video tools are increasingly becoming very good at generating AI videos. While we can tend to talk a lot about tools like Sora and Runway, the truth is the best tools that are out there right now are Chinese, and they are only getting better. And speaking of Chinese video models, the team at Minimax, also known as Hailu, has released subject reference. So you now have the ability to upload an image of a person and generate them again and again inside of your videos. Let me show you how to use it. To use the feature, all you have to do is go to the Hailu AI website and go ahead and go to Create, and then click on the Subject Reference tab. And we'll go ahead and use this character here and go ahead and click Confirm. Now, they haven't given specific instructions on what type of image to upload, but if it's anything like other AI systems, you want to use an image that doesn't have too many shadows and it kind of has flat lighting. And below your character, you can type in your prompt. We'll just be super generic and say an artist smiling, and go ahead and click Generate. We generated a few different examples here. So we have her painting and then smiling at the camera. Pretty good job. The second one is riding a bike through New York City, and it looks pretty good. But then when it does this like wild pan, the physics look all off. So not a great job there, although it did put her into the scene, which looked pretty good. We have wearing a red dress on a tropical vacation, and yeah, not too bad. We have singing on stage in a punk rock band. And, you know, her face is a little distorted in some of this, but honestly, not a bad job. We have speaking at a press conference, and I think we have the appropriate number of fingers there, so good generation. And then finally, we have an over-the-shoulder shot. She's talking to a tall man in a forest wearing a black dress. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It's not over the shoulder per se, but we definitely have the other character in the scene, and the camera movement looks really dynamic, and it did a really good job. This is really important because having the ability to generate consistent characters is very important for AI filmmaking. It's really challenging to always have to go in and face swap and train models and do all of the advanced processes that people are familiar with in the current AI filmmaking pipeline. So more features like this that make the entire process easier only allows us to be able to create more films and tell even more complex stories. A big part of this channel is looking at AI tools and then projecting what the future of storytelling might be like. Well, we actually came across an interesting story this last week where 100 years ago, somebody predicted what AI would look like today. These predictions come from an innovator named Archibald Montgomery Lowe, and basically he had predictions for what the year 2025 would look like. And the reason why we kind of care what this guy says is he actually created the earliest prototype for a television, and he created an uncrewed aircraft during World War I. So that basically was a drone 100 years ago. So this guy was definitely ahead of his time. And basically he predicted smartphones and said that automatic telephones that get the number right every single time would be commonplace, which I guess technically is true with context, so we did a good job there. He also predicted online banking and basically that criminals would use these online banking systems to commit crimes, which definitely happens today. He also predicted that home loudspeakers and TVs would replace newspapers, which using your phone and your television, it kind of has. He also had predictions about the future of film watching, which is pretty interesting. Basically, he theorized that theatergoers would sit down to a screening showing multiple movies at once, and basically you could use special glasses to watch the specific show that you want to watch. So at the very least, he seems to have predicted AR tools like Apple Vision Pro or at the very least, cell phones that allow you to watch whatever you want on your private screen. It's really interesting to see those predictions, but I'm really curious to those of you watching this episode, what predictions do you have for 2025 in the world of AI filmmaking? What innovations can we expect, and what tools are overhyped that actually aren't that useful in a film production pipeline? Let us know in the comments of this video. The team at Magnific came out with a new feature called Super Real that basically allows you to generate images in a very similar style again and again. And the style reference that we get from Magnific seems to be even better than the style reference built into AI tools like Midjourney. To use the tool, just go to the Magnific website, go to Mystic 2.5, and under your prompt, you can type in whatever you want to generate. We'll say a woman sitting at a bar of a fancy hotel. And for style reference, you can drag and drop your image. We'll go ahead and use this image from earlier of this guy sitting at this table. We'll just drag and drop that into Magnific. And there are a bunch of features down here that you can manipulate. We'll just go ahead and select 2K, but of course, you can go in and fine tune however you want. And when you're ready, go ahead and click generate. Magnific generated this image for me, which I think looks pretty good. It really does feel like it was generated in the same lighting aesthetic and in the same universe. Now, it's not 100% perfect. The color grading does look a little different from the original image, but I think it did a pretty good job. Here's a few other examples. So I went with this raw image here of this 3D animated house, and we generated this exterior porch using that reference image inside of Magnific, and it looks super high res. There's a ton of fidelity, and honestly, it did an amazing job. And then we also generated the backyard for this house. So we're creating the scene here, and again, it did a really good job. There's just fantastic fidelity inside of this image. And we can do the same thing with this image here. So basically just a green wash with a ton of camera grain. And we went into Magnific and prompted for a 1970s car. And yeah, it did a pretty good job here. There was also an interesting bit of news this last week where a university in Abu Dhabi called Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence basically opened its doors in March of 2020 as the world's first AI-specific university. So the university actually has 365 active students from over 45 countries. I think this year we're going to see a lot more buy-in from universities looking to integrate AI into their curriculum. And on that note, I want to thank everyone who joined us for the January session of our AI courses at Curious Refuge. We have our courses in AI filmmaking, animation, documentary, and advertising starting up. If you want to be the first to know when our February session goes live, be sure to check out our courses page over at Curious Refuge. I came across some really fun AI news this last week, so if you have some kiddos or some nieces and nephews that would love to create their own custom coloring book, this is the tool for them. The tool is called Cool Coloring Pages, and it basically allows you to generate coloring book pages again and again using AI. To use the tool, all you have to do is go to their website, and we will go ahead and create a baby narwhal having a birthday party, and just go ahead and click generate. And after a few seconds, we have a few generations here. It's kind of funny. It's really having a hard time distinguishing the birthday hat and the narwhal horn. So not a great job there. But our final result is this happy little kawaii whale at a birthday party, which is just delightful. I also want to give a shout out to the Curious Refuge AI Filmmaking Meetup in Shanghai. It looks super fun. I wish we could have made it, but of course, if you want to see if an AI filmmaking event is happening in your area, be sure to check out our AI filmmaking events page. We curate every single AI filmmaking event that we can find in a single place with a map, so you can see if there are any events happening in your area. Just a few of note, on January 16th, we'll be having an AI filmmaking meetup in West Palm Beach, and our very first AI filmmaking meetup in Austin on January 19th. Ike from Curious Refuge will be at the filmmaking event on January 19th, so I definitely recommend making it out to Austin if you're in the area. And that brings us to our AI films of the week. The first film that I want to shout out comes from Kevin the Kid, who is just one of the best AI filmmakers out there. He put together a project called The Warrior's Way using Google VO2. And as always, it features just incredible curation, and he did an amazing job with just kind of creating this world that really does feel consistent, because one of the challenges with using VO2 is the fact that you have to generate the images directly inside of VO, but clearly Kevin has figured out some very good prompting techniques to create his scene, and I think he did an amazing job. The next film that I want to shout out is called Newton's Cradle by Jeff Synthesized, who is just one of the best AI artists and innovators out there. It's a really big, epic Hollywood blockbuster style film that takes place in this dystopian world. I think he did a fantastic job at world building and creating really nice establishing shots that feel like they were created on a really expensive VFX budget. So great job, Jeff. And then finally, we have a project called A Wonderful Day by Surmet Onair. This project has a beautiful 3D animation aesthetic. It really mimics a lot of the 3D advertising animation styles that we've seen over the past couple of years. It has really great curation, really good transitions, and it's one of the strongest AI projects that we've seen in the last few weeks. If you want to submit your own films to be featured on this web show or in our AI gallery, be sure to click the link below this video and submit your film. Our curators watch everything that is sent over, and they would love to check out what you've created. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of AI Film News. Of course, you can subscribe over on our website to get AI Film News sent directly to your email inbox each week, with even more news pieces than we are able to get to inside of this episode. And you can like and subscribe here on YouTube to get the latest tutorials and news directly here on the platform. Again, thank you so much for watching this week's episode. We will see you next time.